Hello everybody, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 1, Chapter 2, Lesson 1. And so Chapter 2, we're looking at the bulk of the theory in recreation. Bulk of the theory. So you can take a look at the slideshow and help follow along, but we're looking at the theory, the terms, the concepts, defining terms, what exactly are the terms in recreation, how do we have a scholarly angle on this? And it's, recreation is a lot of fun, but there's still a scholarly angle where we're studying the effects of recreation, how it impacts people, and what's the terminology, what are the definitions that we need to know in a class like this to be prepared for the rest of the semester. So we'll be looking at some of those things, as well as similar broader concepts in the rec industry. And so you look at the meaning of play first. It's that meaning of play. What exactly is play, and how does it happen? Do you still play as an adult, which is interesting, and what is that element like in the culture, and what are we looking for? So here is the definition, which may differ from the slide a bit. There's a two-part definition. The first part is that play can be a human or animal activity, okay, but it's a behavioral style. Okay, so we got human, animal, or behavioral style. All three things kind of coexist for this definition. Just so you know the broad part of this definition. The important piece to remember is that this activity, this human activity, this behavioral style, human or animal activity, behavioral style, is self-motivated. That's very important. It's self-motivated. It comes from within. Desire to play is not necessarily something that comes from external forces. It is 100% self-motivated, and it's carried out for self-motivated reasons, or what we know as intrinsic reasons, internal reasons. You play for your own reasons, okay? And they're usually not about anybody else's reasons. We participate in recreation in a way because other people do as well, but play is about you. Okay, you have an internal, intrinsic purpose for play. Here's the second part of the definition. Play is often, but not all the time, it's often pleasurable, but not all the time. Okay, or it's generally pleasurable, and it's marked by elements of competition, humor, creative exploration, and problem solving, okay, and possibly mimicry and role playing and imagination. But it's important to remember it's self-motivation, behavioral style, self-motivation, intrinsic, internal, motivated by you, and has pleasurable components, because play isn't always pleasurable, but it has pleasurable components: competition, humor, creative expression, exploration, mimicry, and role-playing. Play is also described as freedom, a freedom structure. It's just kind of very creative. You can kind of do whatever you want with it. There's not a lot of boundaries to play, okay, on a philosophical standpoint. Okay, so there is your definition of play. Now here's some historical perspectives and some theories that will help enlighten you on the depth of that definition, because there's a good definition. You can memorize it, you can put it back, regurgitate it back on the test. But what exactly is play? And let's look at some early theories of play. And we're looking in the 19th century and the early 20th century. So we're looking at 1800s, okay, and into the 1900s, of what educators, theorists, psychologists looked at play and understood the meaning of play. These are on your test. The first what we have is the surplus energy theory. Surplus energy theory. And let me see if it's on this particular PowerPoint. It sure is. Surplus energy theory. And here's how I remember it, is that it's to burn up excess energy. Very simple way to remember it is that surplus energy theory exists to burn up extra energy or excess energy. And these theories were all done by studying children. And yes, it's not just children that play, adults play as well. We'll get to that later. So they're looking at children, and it's burning up excess energy. Kids, they sit in class, they get all this energy, they go out, they go crazy, and they spin around, and they pretend that they're, some Star Wars character, or they play a sport, or they talk to their friends. They're burning up excess energy. Very simple. The next thing that we have is the recreation theory. And the recreation theory is all about conserving or restoring energy. Recreation theory of play means to conserve or restore energy. You also remember the names of the individuals that put these theories together. No worries about that. And then third, we have this instinct practice theory. Instinct practice theory. And what this is we're interested in becoming like their parents, or practicing for adulthood. Becoming like their parents, practicing for adulthood. And these are practicing and perfecting the skills they would need in adult life, is the instinct practice theory. Practicing, perfecting skills they would need in their adult life. And then we have catharsis theory, which is the final early theory of play. Final early theory of play. And you're looking, let me see, it's on this slide here. Yep, okay. So catharsis theory is all about getting the bottled up emotions released. Okay, so it's not energy as the first one that we talked about. It's bottled up emotions. It's that emotional development of a child, and things happen, yet they're learning how to communicate, they're learning how to stand up for themselves, they're maturing. And so they got a lot of emotions, and they get bottled up, and when they go out and play, they just let it all go. Okay, so you can get expression of bottled up emotions. That's how I remember that one, expression of bottled up emotions. Okay, so we're moving on. We get into the 20th century concepts of play. And there's some good definitions right here. You have self-expression theory being the primary definition of this time period. And what you're looking at is that there's a deep kind of soul-centered need for play, and that play is all about self, individual self, intrinsic self, self-expression. And that's really what the theory is pointing at, is that on all levels that play is simply self-expression. And breaking it down beyond that, you can do, as we'll see in a minute. But the factors of self-expression, as you see on your slide, say specific types of activity as influenced by physiology, autonomy, fitness level, environment, family, and social background. So what they do is they say there's several areas or several breakdowns of your self-expression when it comes to play. So we'll move on here. And you'll see that the first one is play as social necessity. Okay, play as social necessity. And play as social necessity is the belief that the desire to play, as self-expression, was a significant component in developing one's social outlook, or one's ability to socialize, or you could call it personal character, social character, developmental character. It all had roots in being able to play and play with others effectively. And so this is something that was echoed in that time. This is by Joseph Lee, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Kind of then known as the father of the playground movement. And his dedication to providing opportunities for children to self-express or to play. Parks, okay, recess, various opportunities for children to self-express and play, because of the strong assertion, opinion, belief that play is a social necessity, that beyond the need of self-expression, a child must be able to play with others in a variety of cooperative and positive ways to develop one's social map, social character, social ability, or social and or emotional resiliency. Absolutely 100% essential. If you think back to your own experience, you probably noticed that a lot of that kind of socialization happened on the playground and at recess than it did actually in the classroom with your fellow classmates.